And Shellvedge and I kind of get into the details of these boots, the form, the fit, and the function as I've started to delve in further. So let's go ahead and move forward, and I hope you enjoy the conversation.
I've like lost my mind trying to find this pair of like white boots that I told you I
The
wanted.
Shell Cordovan ones.
Yeah, I mean I know that they were. Oh, here they are.
Looks like Horween to me. Has that Horween looking vibe. There's been a lot of buzz since you started thinking about this, about the different shell, the different shell
Yeah,
topic for today.
yeah. I was gonna say I asked like Phil about it, and then Phil was like, "Oh yeah, I'll have to talk about that on the podcast with you." And I was like, "With me, or you mean with like Nick?" It was apparently
He
with
did
Nick.
talk about it with Nick,
And he
that's for
talked about
sure.
it with Nick.
Nick, I think, more or less said that it was the way that the cordovan was finished, or like the last paint
Yeah,
or the last coatings that seemed to kind of impact that. So
yeah. So I was just saying, like, this is 8D. Like, I don't that would probably be like too small.
8D in that would last. Is it a 55?
Uh,
That person's a Brannick 9D. Yeah, and he went for an 8D.
yeah. How do you know what
It
last it
depends on the
is?
last. If the last is a 55 last, I would size a half down from your Brannick. So that would be a 8.5. Yeah, I would say an 8.5 would be the right, because I think the guy said he was a 90 and it was too small for him. So I would go 8.5 if you
Yeah,
have
but
a
like, how do you
standard.
know like what?
Yeah, you'd need to know what last it was, because that does not have a hugely built up heel. If you look at the heel, it's more of a standard heel.
Where does it say the last?
I don't know if it's on the boot. Um, I haven't taken a look around. I mean, it's on my box and stuff, but
I wonder if this guy was like wearing them to play, video games.
oh, it looks that way. PlayStation 3, or maybe that's a gaming system right there. Clearly, he really went the extra mile in the boots.
Yeah, but I don't know what it means when it has a hole in its tongue,
Oh
other than it
yeah,
being a
cool.
second.
Huh?
I mean, the guy said that they were seconds, but
Yeah, your Pacific Northwest boot, Viberg boot sizing, depending on, it's obviously depending on which last you decide upon, but in most instances, you would go down a half size. In some instances where the last is a little bit roomier, you can go down a full size. But that's, I think, more for some of the, like, for example, Viberg's 2040 and 310 lasts, you can go down a full size from your Brannick. For almost all the other last 2030, 1035, there's a bunch of different ones that you can do a half size down. And that's the same for the most of the Pac Northwest bootmaker lasts, the 55 last, the Archie's last. Those are all half size down from Brannick. I think they have a Thurman or some other last that a lot of them share, that is less arch support, and therefore your feet kind of effectively become a little longer in the footbed because there's less arch to kind of draw the foot and toe box up a little. And so um, some particular models you will want to go down to full size.
yeah,
That's at least the information I've been, and that I've had a few Vibergs along my journey, and so that's held up pretty well.
like what is the most like important factor when it comes to buying a new boot? Like, what's the factor at least that you put the most like value on when it comes to kind of deciding, whether it's like a month or 2 months, a
Yeah.
year down the road, like whether or not that was like a worthwhile purchase?
For me, obviously, I think the initial impression that strikes me about a boot is, how does it look? Is it appealing to me aesthetically? But that's sort of the initial honeymoon phase. You want a boot that's going to fit your wardrobe and be appealing for the us or the rest of the clothes that you have and how you tend to wear the shoes. But putting that aside, for me, the most important factor is fit. I think the fit really drives how often you're going to take that pair of shoes and or boots and put them on, and wear them. And then that will then, if you're wearing them more, allow those boots to break in, which in that heritage footwear boot community, the idea of growing with a pair of boots is a really paramount part of that process. And it's sort of the idea that these boots are often derived from the workwear community where people are using these every day or many days of the week. And the boot is slowly molding to your foot. And so I think fit and then evolved fit over time are both very important. So making sure you've chosen the right last for yourself and making sure that you are properly sized in that last will lead to a good fit. There's a number of other things that come into fit, whether the boot is, a structured or unstructured toe box, what is the heel, what is the arch, all those types of things. But the bottom line is you want to make sure that the fit is a good fit. From my standpoint, that's the most important factor.